Hello everyone and welcome back to Shadow Whisper. Tonight, we're going deep into one of America's most cursed highways, Route 666. The Devil's Highway. A place where truckers vanish, radios talk back, and the desert itself remembers your name. From the haunted stretch between Gallup and Shiprock, to the phantom truck that never stops following, each story you're about to hear was taken from real accounts shared by the drivers who swore they'd never run that road again. So turn off your lights, turn up the volume, and remember, if you hear someone whisper your name through the CB tonight, don't answer. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss when the next shadow comes alive. I didn't believe in cursed roads until the night the asphalt between Gallup and Shiprock started answering me back. Truckers call that two-lane strip the Devil's Highway, out of habit and out of respect, even though the state changed the number years ago to calm folks down. Numbers don't change what a place remembers. Mile after mile of red desert, wind going sideways, radio breathing static like an animal, you run it at 2 a.m. long enough and it starts to run you. Dispatch had me on a deadhead pull west, light trailer, wide open sky. Gallup lights fell behind like a string of dying coals. I clicked the CB to channel 19, more for company than anything. Breaker 19, this is Long Cake headed to Shiprock. Anyone else on the midnight ribbon? Only static, then a dry whisper so thin I figured it was my tired brain. Something like, don't stop. I laughed it off. The cab clock showed 2:13. The dash rattle had a rhythm I hadn't heard before. You learn the terrain out there, sandstone buttes like teeth, the black mouth of the night cracked open, the far-off shape of the Shiprock pinnacle when the moon cooperates. That night, the moon was a fingernail hung crooked, throwing bad angles across the road. I passed a hand-painted sign that said "No photos, respect the land." I nod at signs like that. I've hauled enough to know the earth has owners we don't see. At the edge of my headlights, a coyote trotted the shoulder, then stopped and just watched me. Its eyes shone gold and wrong, still as pins. When my trailer hissed over a pothole, it didn't flinch. I said, "Evening," into an empty cab and kept rolling. I tell myself it was nerves, but I turned the mirror to keep it out of frame. My father used to say some places don't like their picture taken. The mirror is a picture you can't stop making. Around milepost I don't know. Out there you lose count, there's a little dirt cutout where I sometimes stretch my legs. I didn't plan to stop, but my fuel range dipped faster than it should have, needle sliding as if someone pushed it. Wind gusted. Sand ticked off the grill. Then the radio coughed and a voice came through, breathy, far away. "Driver, you see her?" I keyed up without thinking. "Say again?" Only static answered, then the trace of a woman's laugh tucked inside it like a thorn. I told myself it was Skip, a distant signal bouncing freakish clear. I've heard truckers in Kansas when I was parked in Arizona. Happens. But the hair on my arms did what hair does when the desert changes its mind. I eased off the throttle to 95 kilometers per hour and watched the white lines. My headlights painted the road a sterile hospital color. Nothing alive likes that color. The first time I saw the black pickup, I didn't see it so much as feel it. A shadow eased into my mirror where there wasn't supposed to be anything. No headlights behind me, no car cresting the low hill, just a deeper dark cupped in the glass. The mirror buzzed. The shadow swelled at the corner of my vision like a bruise. I told myself it was the blind spot, then drifted right to give a phantom 30 feet of courtesy. The bruise drifted with me. Long Cake to anyone westbound, got a tail without lights. You boys playing jokes. I tried to sound amused. That laugh, hers, brushed the static again. Don't stop. Not advice. A rule. The road narrowed at a culvert where a dry wash chews under the highway. I came off the accelerator, ready to brake if a stray cow wandered through. Navajo sheep sometimes find holes in the fence. My high beam stabbed ahead and caught a figure on the shoulder. A woman. Barefoot, white dress guttering in the wind like a torn flag. She stood facing the desert, not the road, arms at her sides like a child waiting for a scolding. I said her out loud without meaning to. "Ma'am?" My voice was straw in my throat. I downshifted, blinkers on, easing toward the shoulder. The black pickup in the mirror pulsed. Closer now or thicker like fog that learned to hate. The woman turned her head slowly, just the head, not the body, and I saw the profile you get in old religious paintings. Clean nose, high cheek, a calm that didn't care if you lived through the night. Don't, the radio breathed, and for a second I thought it was her voice riding the CB. I stopped anyway. The wind slid under the trailer and made it shudder. Sand rattled like rice on steel. I kept the engine running, habit and fear, and cracked the door. Cold rushed in. That's another thing. Desert nights cut deep. Folks think of heat the way the day cooks your brain. They forget the night steals your bones. I climbed down with my flashlight and called, "Ma'am, you okay? Do you need a ride to town?" The beam found the shoulder, the white dress, the bare feet in dust. One foot was pointed wrong. The black pickup's engine never made a sound. It should have arrived with a rumble, with light, with something for my senses to turn into math. Instead it was suddenly 30 feet behind my trailer, no lights, paint so dark it drank my flashlight and gave back nothing. No plate, no decals, no chrome. Just matte night carved into a truck's shape. The woman didn't look at it. She looked past me at the cab, at my mirror. Her lips moved like she was praying, but the wind carried her words away. "Lock your mirrors," my father's voice said, except he'd been dead 5 years and only spoke now when I drove where I shouldn't. "You don't lock mirrors. That's not a thing." But I knew what he meant. Cover them. The truck idled without idling. Its hood inhaled a long dry breath that didn't come from an engine. My CB hissed, then cleared, then hissed. I raised the flashlight to the woman's face. Her eyes were not white, not black, not anything I could name. They were the color of the road itself, a gray that eats light. I said, "I can take you to Gallup." The wind said it with me, and for a second our voices braided like a rope. She shook her head, one precise movement. "You drove past the sign," she said, and her voice wasn't on the radio now. It was in the air, ordinary and wrong. "No photos. Respect the land." "I didn't take any," I said. "You make them," she said, and tilted her chin toward my side mirror. In the glass, the black pickup wasn't a pickup. It was a hole cut out of the night, and something inside it moved like tall grass without wind. When I cracked the door, the smell hit me first, a cold, iron stink like rain that never arrives. The woman's dress snapped in the wind, and the black truck didn't stir the dust. I climbed back into the cab because my hands had started to shake, and men who lift straps for a living hate showing their hands shake. Close the door, breathe, make a plan. That's how you survive long roads and bad weather. It should work for bad nights too. The rule, my father whispered, cover the mirrors, wouldn't leave. I pulled a greasy shop towel from behind the seat and taped it over the passenger mirror with a strip I tore from a bill of lading. The glass vanished, and something in the cab sighed like I'd thrown a blanket over a cage. I reached for the driver's side mirror and paused. In the corner of that glass, the black truck bulged like a tumor under skin. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to find out what part of night could push back. The radio clicked twice like a finger on a cheap lighter. "Don't look," the whisper said. Not the woman now, another voice, dry as paper. "Man?" Or the road itself learning to talk. I covered the driver mirror anyway, hands clumsy, heart up in my mouth. With both mirrors blind, the cab felt smaller, like I'd sealed myself inside a coffin on wheels. Out the windshield the woman waited, hair in her face, that wrong-turned foot pressed into the grit. The black pickup did not reflect on my hood. It left no shine, no curve. I eased the rig back into gear. The idea was simple. Roll slow, keep her to my right, speak out the window. If she needed help, I'd put her in the cab, lock the doors, and head for Gallup with the mirrors dead. Men have hauled worse. I lowered the passenger window to a slit. "Ma'am, I can take you." She shook her head again. "You drove past the sign," she said, "and you heard the rule. If you stop, you feed it." "What is it?" I heard myself ask, as if naming would give it weight I could carry. Her gaze slid to the shape behind my trailer. "A hole," she said. "And a mouth. It wants mirrors and eyes. Don't let it have both." I should have eased away right then. But I'm built wrong when it comes to people standing alone in the dark. "You coming?" She didn't move. "I'm keeping it busy," she said. "Go." Anger, stupid, proud, flared in me because pity often wears anger's face. I'm not leaving you here. I put the truck in neutral, yanked the parking brake and stepped back down, thinking I'd scoop her up if I had to. That's when the cab light flicked itself on. No door open, no switch thrown, just click and pale dome light painted the inside of my truck the color of a morgue. In that weak light, the towel on the driver mirror swelled like something breathed beneath it. Back in the cab. Key on steel. I didn't remember climbing. My fingers hurt where they gripped the wheel. The CB spit out a new sound, not a voice, not static, but tapping like a fingernail on the mic. 1 2, pause, 1 2 3. Morse? If it was, my brain didn't translate. I jammed the rig into first, let the clutch bite and rolled. The black truck rolled too. Without tires, without sound, it matched my speed as if it were painted onto the night and the night had decided to keep me beside it. The woman slid farther from the shoulder, retreating into the desert without looking back, like she'd finished her station for the evening and could finally go home. She didn't limp on the wrong foot. It wrote a different print in the sand, that's all. At 30 miles an hour my hands stopped shaking. The road tunneled into the windshield, a stripe of math I could solve. Wind hammered, sand stitched, engine sang. I pretended the thing behind me was physics I couldn't see. It almost worked, until the towel on the passenger mirror twitched. Not a breeze. A deliberate pluck, like fingers testing a harp string. The strip of paper I'd used for tape peeled, slow, slow, slow. My mouth said a prayer I hadn't used since I was 12. I grabbed the towel with one hand and pressed it hard against the glass while steering one-handed down a state highway at night. You didn't pay for the ride, I said to the thing because talking kept the shaking away. No ticket, no looking. The tape squealed, then held. I blew out a laugh that sounded too loud and too false in the small room of the cab. Headlights bloomed ahead, a pair, then a second pair a minute later. Westbound. Real trucks, real drivers, both with chrome and bugs on the bumpers, God's bless them. I keyed the mic, westbound coming toward Shiprock. You got a tail on me I can't shake. No lights, no sound. Tell me you see it. The first driver didn't answer. His rig blew past, wind rocking my trailer. The second one came a mile behind, and as he closed I saw his driver's side window roll down. A bare arm came out and a hand made a sign like crossing himself, except not quite. 2 fingers, 2 taps to the temple. I'd seen Navajo men make that sign at funerals. I'd seen it once at a wreck on 191 where nobody should have walked away. He didn't key his mic. He just disappeared into my mirrors I couldn't use. The road rose and fell. The Shiprock silhouette cut into the sky ahead, a black fin of stone. Somewhere out there a sheepdog barked, a lonely sound too far for any real dog to carry. The CB crackled one last time with that thin woman's laugh and then went cold. That's when the cab temperature dropped hard enough that the windshield fogged at the edges. Letters formed out of breath on glass that wasn't mine. Don't stop. Too late. I had already stopped once. Maybe that was enough to feed it. The towel twitched again, then went still as if the thing had grown cautious. I kept my foot down. 35, 40, 50. The engine hummed like it liked having a task. At mile marker with no number, a light appeared where no light belonged. A gas station canopy hovering low over a single pump, concrete pad washed in thin fluorescent. I knew every legit stop on that stretch. This one wasn't one of them. But my fuel gauge argued the needle lower than math allowed. And men like me cling to excuses when fear needs a reason. I told myself a tribal vendor had reopened an old pump. I told myself a lot of things. The black truck floated closer when I eased off the throttle. It was patient. Hunger often is. I tightened my grip until the wheel's texture imprinted in my skin and angled toward the glow. The nozzle was cold enough to bite through glove leather. I kept one eye on the towels while I fed the mouth of my tank. From the corner of my windshield I saw the black truck lean, as if the night had set its elbows on my fender. The cab temperature fell again. My breath smoked. The canopy light dimmed, not flicker dim, but as if something sampled the brightness and decided to keep a taste. The clerk watched it happen without moving at all. His shadow made a circle around his feet. How far to Shiprock? I asked him because small talk can hold a man together. He didn't answer my question. He asked one instead. Why'd you stop for her? I stop for people, I said. Or I thought I did. He nodded, like marks on a test sheet. She stands there most nights. Sometimes she keeps it busy. Sometimes it keeps her. The nozzle clunked full. I holstered it back slow, like putting a snake where it belonged. The numbers on the wheel didn't spin right. They spun, then unspun, then settled on a total that made no sense, like a price from a year that never happened. I reached for my wallet. The clerk shook his head. Pay after, he repeated. The word sat wrong in my ear. After what? The towel shivered. One corner peeled, an inch of gray mirror glinting like ice. I flattened it with my palm and looked past my own reflection, careful not to meet it. In that sliver I saw the black truck as a depth, not a shape, and in that depth something tall leaned up from a faraway floor, curious, patient, grinning without a mouth. A second shape leaned with it, and a third, like reeds in a current finding the same sway. Cover it with dirt, the clerk said quietly, as if embarrassed by the meagerness of the instruction. This is not your land. Dirt knows whose face is allowed. He bent, cupped both hands to the concrete, lifted a neat loaf of dust as if the ground were bread. He tossed it gently toward my driver's side mirror. The dust stuck where a towel would not, frosting the glass. The temperature in the cab rose a degree. The thing behind me changed its mind about something. I felt the decision like a muscle spasm in my back. I copied him, scooping grit from the pump base and plastering it onto the passenger mirror. It clung. It shouldn't have, but it did, like the world was pleased I'd remembered it existed. The clerk's shadow did not change when he moved. He straightened and finally looked directly at me. His eyes were ordinary and kind and tired. That scared me more than anything had. You can go, he said. But don't take the road that comes back. There's only one road, I said, hearing the falseness of it before the words left my mouth. The desert holds more roads than the map will admit. He turned and walked toward the hut. He never reached the door. Between one stride and the next the canopy light swallowed him, the way heat haze eats the horizon. No drama, no scream, just subtraction. The steel door clicked anyway, a polite little sound that told the night we were finished transacting. I put it in gear and rolled. The black truck eased along with me for 50 feet, 60, like a shark deciding whether to nose the hull. At the edge of the canopy's influence, the hole winked. The night blinked. The truck wasn't there. Not gone, just somewhere that didn't line up with where I was driving now. The towels held. The dirt held. The road unspooled normal, mile by sane mile, until the sky in my windshield thinned from ink to dishwater gray. Dawn is the truest exorcist out there. It doesn't argue, it erases. When the Shiprock pinnacle shouldered up full against the morning, the CB woke for one last message. No static, no laugh. A woman's voice plain as gravel, tell them not to stop. I rolled into Shiprock shaking and too proud to show it. I parked at a legit truck stop with donuts that tasted like old oil and coffee that could resurrect cows. A man in a denim jacket with a fleet patch asked if I'd run the cursed stretch. I nodded. He tapped his temple twice, 2 fingers, 2 taps, a sign as old as funerals. You keep your mirrors dirty out there, he said. Clean is for towns. I drove back through 2 days later at high noon. The cutout where I'd seen her was just dirt and road. No prints. No lace caught in sage. No pump under a canopy. Sun showed me everything the night didn't, and I believe the night anyway. Numbers don't change what a place remembers. And some places remember you back. Dispatch logged me onto the graveyard run with a shrug. Light load eastbound, Gallup to Farmington, cut across the old cursed stretch to shave an hour. They don't call it Route 666 on paper anymore, but paper doesn't drive, and paper doesn't listen to what glass hears after midnight. I signed anyway. You don't turn down miles when your kid needs new cleats and the fridge speaks in echoes. Wind tongued the rig as I rolled past Gallup's last sodium light. The desert swallowed the rear view like a trick. The cab clock clicked 1:57 a.m., the minute that always looks like a typo. On Channel 19 I threw a line for company. Breaker 19, Nightjar eastbound, anyone riding the ribbon? Static answered. Not empty static, an old house kind layered like whispers tucked inside drywall. It shivered my fillings. I told myself it was temperature inversion, radio waves bouncing off the cold roof of the sky. The road offered me the Shiprock silhouette way off, its black fin punching the stars. I drove toward it like a compassless man walks toward a church. Mile markers out there don't count right at night. They lean or they stand where they shouldn't, and the numbers feel like dares. At a battered green sign, 23? 32? I caught that first wrong thing. My headlights didn't bite the shoulder. You know the look, how high beams turn sand to chalk and sage to silver wire. Instead, the shoulder drank light and stayed the color of thinking about nothing. I flicked the stock, low high like that would wake the road up. The CB coughed. Not a voice. 2 clicks, a breath, then a faraway syllable like a stranger testing your name in an empty room. I reached to lower the volume and stopped when I saw the mirror. The driver's side glass showed me a thin slice of highway, my trailer's dull rib cage, and a tail of night that looked thicker than the rest, like tar poured into the dark and set. I angled the mirror a hair. The shape slid perfectly with the angle, refusing me parallax like it had paid for the privilege. Windshield games, I said out loud. Saying things out loud smooths the fear into humor. It's a trick you learn between Amarillo and Albuquerque when the distance starts eating your breakfast. I turned the radio down to a whisper. At mile maybe 25, the road humped over a dry wash and the rig lifted, feather light for half a second. That's when a woman spoke on the CB in a voice like sand and sleep. "Eastbound," she said. "You're making a picture." I didn't answer. I put my hands at 10 and 2 and set them like statues. The temptation to key the mic was the same feeling you get when you stand at a cliff and some bad thought in your lizard brain whispers, "Jump." I told myself she was a bored night clerk playing games. I told myself lots of things I didn't believe. The road straightened. Up ahead, the Shiprock monolith grew larger, a dorsal fin tearing the desert open. Out the passenger window, something flickered between the buttes. A pale triangle, then gone. I stared too long and drifted. Rumble strips snarled me back. Coffee sloshed up the lid and burned my knuckles. I cursed in a language my kid doesn't know. The CB clicked twice again, then 3 soft taps, like fingernails on the mic. I covered the driver mirror with my palm. The cab felt instantly smaller, as if I'd put my hand over a mouth that had been quietly breathing along with me. I kept it there too long. When I peeled away, my palm print ghosted in the glass. For a heartbeat it looked like the mirror had been sweating. You learn rules out here nobody writes down. Don't pass a pulled over rig without asking if he's good. Don't use cruise on black ice. Don't pick up anybody who doesn't cast a shadow that looks like it knows how to be human. And never, if you can help it, drive toward a light that has no wires. So naturally the road gave me a light without wires. It glowed up ahead in a bowl of darkness like a gas station canopy, thin fluorescent, bluish, slightly sick, over a single ancient pump. No signage. No Coke machine. No bug halo. Just a rectangle of man-made day in a place that never signed the paperwork for it. My fuel gauge said I could make Farmington with a prayer and downhill luck. The part of me that carries my kid's photo said, "Don't you dare." The part of me that hates math said, "Maybe just 2 gallons." The CB hissed. The woman's voice again, like it came through burlap. "Don't stop," she said, soft like telling me we're out of milk. "They take you when your picture's clean." I laughed because the other choice was to do something unmanly with my face. "Copy that," I said without keying the mic like the radio could hear thoughts. I passed the ghost station at 45. The pump didn't cast a shadow. My headlights slid over it and came away paler. Something moved in the passenger mirror then. No, not moved, arrived. A shape that was wrong for the world. Not quite truck, not quite whole, as if night had flexed and made a muscle. My knuckles went white on the wheel. I nudged the mirror down a fraction, forcing the shape to the edge. You can live with a monster at the edge. Center frame will kill you. That's when the CB carried another voice, male this time, breathless like he jogged to the mic. "Any eastbound at mile 23, he said, words fast, clipped. "You dragging a tail, partner?" I fumbled and keyed up. "Nightjar here." "Copy. You see it?" "Negative," he said, and his breath turned to a hiss. "But I hear it." The channel popped, someone else trying to cut in, then gone. The hiss thinned into a tone that set my molars humming. The Shiprock spire filled the windshield now, a black tooth. My chest felt like it had been lined with freezer burn. I reached behind the seat with one hand, groping for a rag. My fingers found a towel, greasy and stiff with old oil, the kind of cloth you keep because someday you'll need a nothing thing to save your life. I didn't cover the mirror yet. Not until I saw the shoulder. She stood where the gravel grated into dirt. Bare feet, white dress heavy as wet paper, hair sticking to her cheek like she'd climbed out of a well. Had turned away. Hands at her sides like a child waiting for a word that would never come. No thumbprint of taillight to explain her being there. No companion car. No sense. I eased off the throttle. The CB breathed. The male voice turned into wind. The female voice, not radio now but air, said so close it felt like the cab had spoken, "Not you. Not tonight. Keep going." And that's when the driver's side mirror, the one I wasn't looking at, the one I had turned to whisper away from my eyes, coughed up a little square of black that wasn't reflection at all. It squirmed like a tadpole learning how to be a road. My hand moved on its own, towel up, tape tear yank of a bill stub from the dash, slap, cloth over glass, pressure, a prayer in my throat that didn't bother with words. The cab sighed. The tone in my teeth dropped. The woman at the shoulder didn't turn. The Shiprock ahead seemed to nod. "Breaker 19, I said into the cold, careful not to key. Nightjar is still eastbound. I'm not stopping." Out of the speaker, soft as a match going out, the female voice said, "Good." By the time I hit mile marker 29, the desert had gone bone quiet. No radio static, no wind howl, not even the usual vibration hum that lives in a Peterbilt's bones. Just silence thick enough to taste. The kind that makes you realize engines don't make sound, they hide it. The towel I'd pressed over the driver's side mirror twitched against the glass, like something beneath it had a slow heartbeat. I told myself it was wind. But the window was sealed and the AC was off. Still the towel rose, fell, rose again, breathing. The CB clicked twice. Then a voice came through, thin, mechanical, not man, not woman. "Mirror open, mirror open." Then a pop like a fuse burning. I yanked the radio cord from the port. Instant relief, like pulling a thorn from the ear. The world snapped back to the natural noise of rolling rubber and rattling chains. I told myself, keep moving, no more ghosts, no more signals. But curiosity is a drug I never learned to quit. I eased the speed down to 40 and reached for my phone, thinking to record the towel's movement. Proof for later, a thing to post, a story to own before it owned me. The screen refused to light. Battery full but black as if the night had eaten the pixels. In the black reflection of the glass I caught a sliver of myself, and something behind my shoulder that leaned the wrong direction. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor mat face down and stayed there like it was ashamed. Ahead, the horizon shifted. A light, orange this time, not white, rolled across the highway like a campfire walking on two legs. I flicked the high beams off, then on again. The light dodged, paused, and split into three smaller ones. For a heartbeat, I thought I'd stumbled on a convoy. Then one light rose off the ground and vanished upward, straight up, like it found a better job in heaven. "Ball lightning," I said aloud. "Science saves you when religion starts charging by the mile. Except lightning doesn't leave footprints." And the two lower lights moved in time, side by side, the rhythm of knees walking through tall grass. I accelerated. The tatch needle climbed, the road began to hum again, and for a while I could pretend I was just another driver trying to make delivery time. Then the passenger mirror began to whistle. Not the mirror exactly, the towel over it. Air slipping through the edges, singing a single high note. I pressed a finger against it and the note stopped. When I lifted my hand it started again, higher, impatient. The summons. That's when the smell arrived, cold metal and wet pennies. It filled the cab in a second, metallic and sweet. I gagged, cracked the window, took one breath of desert air, and heard breathing that wasn't mine. Slow, deep, in sync with the rise and fall of the towel. I slammed the window shut. "Breaker 19, a new voice said on the CB. I hadn't plugged it back in. But the speaker glowed anyway, a dull ember. "This is Long Cake." Static swallowed the rest. That name yanked the spine out of me. Long Cake. Old driver from McKinley County. disappeared on this same run back in 2012. All they found was his truck idling by a sandbank, both mirrors shattered inward. I didn't answer. Didn't even breathe. The radio crackled again, clearer now. "Nightjar, you hear me?" Then softer, "Cover the glass." I did, I whispered. But the towel over the driver's side wasn't there anymore. Just the tape fluttering in the wind. The mirror gleamed, perfect, clean, like chrome baptized in moonlight. In it I saw not the trailer, not the desert, but a long straight road running upside down into darkness, and at the end of that road something crawling toward me on hands and knees. My body moved faster than thought. One jerk of the wheel, one hard stomp of brake, the kind that makes a truck scream metal and prayer. The world tilted, dust stormed the headlights. The rig slewed sideways, trailer fishtailing until the tires caught dirt and locked. Silence again. Engine coughing itself to sleep. I sat there, breath skipping, heartbeat counting the seconds I'd stolen back. Then, footsteps in the gravel. Soft. Bare. Coming from behind the trailer. Closer. My hand found the flashlight. I cracked the door an inch, enough to hear the crunch of grit under weight. One more step, right at the foot of the ladder. Then a voice, almost kind, "You left the door open." I slammed it shut and hit the lock. Every instinct said drive. But engines need time to believe in themselves after a near death. The key turned, starter clicked, nothing. Again. Again. Third time it roared to life, coughing smoke like it hated me for surviving. In the side window, a reflection moved. A woman's face, hair tangled, skin gray under the dashboard light. She wasn't outside. She was in the glass, as if the reflection had decided to become the thing itself. Her lips shaped words I didn't want to hear. Then the towel I'd lost pressed itself against the mirror from the inside. A handprint bloomed under it, small, slender, palm outward like someone trying to climb through the silver. The CB snapped back on, voice sharp, panicked. Male this time, real and human. "Nightjar, if you hear me, you've got company. Don't look in the..." The line died. The handprint faded. The mirror dulled, then fogged, spelling something backward. Open. The engine idled like a heartbeat counting down. I gripped the wheel, shifted to first, and told the night, "Not tonight." Then I drove blind east toward the black tooth of Shiprock, mirrors covered, eyes forward, praying to every god I'd ever ignored that dawn would come before my reflection did. The desert started to pale at the edges, a gray wash leaking into the stars. Most men feel safe when dawn shows its first bruise of light, but out there the color only makes you realize how empty the land truly is. No fences. No birds. Just road and bone. I kept the speed steady at 50. The mirrors were swaddled again, shop towels, duct tape, even a strip of my flannel torn off at the elbow. They looked like blindfolds on a giant animal that refused to sleep. The CB had gone quiet for 20 miles, which should have been a blessing. Silence out there feels like mercy until you notice it's listening. Then the frequency twitched alive. A slow carrier hiss, followed by 3 measured knocks. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Same rhythm from before. Morse? Or heartbeat? I counted seconds. It repeated. "Long cake," I said softly. "If that's you, buddy, keep it down." Static flattened my voice. When it cleared, the speaker whispered something that sounded like a prayer spliced with engine noise. "Keep dirt on the glass." "I did," I said, and hated the tremor in my throat. "It keeps slipping." The speaker wheezed. "Then drive until it forgets your name." The road unrolled, perfectly straight, no curve for miles. Shiprock's spire sat on the horizon like a black matchstick stabbed into God's table. Every mile I gained, the dawn gained with me, but the light stayed wrong, cooler than morning should be, like it filtered through water. At 4:06 a.m. my phone lit on its own. Screen white, camera open, facing forward. It started recording. I hadn't touched it. A notification popped up across the top bar. Live transmission started. I pulled over hard. The phone buzzed in my cup holder, lens still pointed at the windshield. On screen, my headlights showed nothing but road and dust. Until a figure stepped across the double yellow line about 40 feet ahead. White dress. Bare feet. Same wrong-turned ankle. The image shimmered like heat mirage but colder. The timestamp burned bright. 4:06 a.m. I glanced up, road empty. Looked back at the phone, she was closer. Halfway to the hood now, hair lifting as though underwater. The feed crackled, a line of text scrolling across the bottom. Cover your eyes. I dropped the phone face down. When I looked up, she was standing by the driver's door window. Not knocking. Just waiting, head tilted, like she could hear every reason I had not to look. The radio came alive again, male voice, rough, almost breaking. Nightjar, this is station base. You still rolling? Copy if you can. I keyed the mic. Base, I'm pulled off east of Shiprock, some kind of... The mic shrieked. Every gauge on the dash pinned red, needles vibrating. The engine revved by itself, pedal untouched. The windshield darkened from the edges inward, like ink spreading through paper, and within that darkness shapes moved, tall, thin, jointed, wrong. Each carried a mirror held flat to the chest. The woman's reflection appeared in the driver's side towel, pressing out from beneath the cloth. Her mouth formed a single word, run. I slammed the truck into gear. The tires screamed, the trailer swung wide, gravel clattering like gunfire. The blackness peeled off the glass and chased me, stretched thin by speed. The CB spewed overlapping voices, drivers shouting, laughing, crying, all on the same frequency. I caught fragments. Mile 30, don't let it see its own face. He's still on the air, my God, he's still on the air. I pushed 80, then 90, engine temp climbing. Shiprock blurred to my right. The first honest line of sunrise broke over the mesas, gold like something earned. The radio cut to a woman's whisper, steady, gentle, final. It forgets with daylight. Keep going. I did. When the sun cleared the rim of the desert, the towels fell slack, lifeless cloth again. The smell left with the dark. I drove until Farmington's first billboard showed up, a cartoon cowboy promising coffee and tires. Pulled in, parked among living trucks, and stepped down on shaking legs. In the dawn light, every mirror on the rig was spider-webbed from the inside, like ice after a thaw. Beneath each fracture, faint letters traced in dust. Don't stop. I turned the CB on one last time. Static. Then a fragment of my own voice, looping from nowhere. Breaker 19, Nightjar eastbound. And nothing after. Recording that never was, echoing a call I'd already made. They say the dispatch log shows I never keyed in after 1:57 a.m. They say the transmission that came through at 4:06 a.m. carried no carrier ID, just a heartbeat and a laugh. And they say if you drive the stretch between Gallup and Shiprock with your mirrors clean, you can still hear me warning whoever's next. Keep your eyes forward. Don't look at the glass. And if you hear her voice, don't answer. They say every trucker has one stretch of road that broke him. Mine runs through New Mexico, out of Gallup, where the desert flattens into a rust-red ocean and the horizon looks like it's daring you to keep breathing. Locals still call it Route 666, the Devil's Highway. They changed the number years ago, but a new sign doesn't make old ghosts forget their job. I used to laugh at the stories. Phantom hitchhikers, demon dogs, trucks with no drivers. Folklore for rookies. But that was before June 18, 2020, a night I've replayed every time the road goes quiet. I was hauling empty pallets eastbound toward Farmington. Midnight run, full moon hiding behind thin cloud, CB dead silent. That silence is worse than static. Static means the world's still trying to talk. Nothing means the world's done listening. The desert smelled like rain that never arrived. Sand hissed under the tires like snakes whispering secrets. At mile marker 21, the high beams caught something black parked on the opposite shoulder. No hazard lights, no reflection, just a darker shadow against the night. I figured it was an old pickup, flatbed maybe, someone broken down. I dropped a gear to crawl past, ready to offer a tow line. That's when it moved. Not rolled, shifted. Like it inhaled. The whole silhouette expanded slightly, a shadow swelling with its own lungs. I blinked and it was gone. No tire marks, no dust plume. Just road. I laughed out loud, the kind of laugh that sounds like a question. Maybe I've been staring too long at the asphalt. The human brain does weird things at 2 a.m. But the gauge light flickered, fuel dipped a notch, and the rig lurched as though someone tugged the trailer from behind. Then headlights exploded in my mirrors, pure white inches from the bumper. No engine noise. No vibration. Just light and pressure like being shoved by a storm. Breaker 19, this is eastbound 47, I got a tailgater with a death wish. Anyone reading? Silence. I tried again louder. Static, then a woman's voice, whisper thin, don't brake. The headlights flared hotter, too bright to be halogens. I couldn't see the grill, couldn't see the road behind, only two suns glued to my mirrors. I pressed the throttle, the rig climbed past 70. The lights matched me inch for inch. Desert blurred, road hummed. At mile marker 24, the headlights vanished. Not faded, snapped off. Darkness crashed down so fast I could hear it. Then something slammed the back of the trailer. Hard enough to rattle the dash camera onto the floor. I whipped the wheel to keep control, tires screaming on the rumble strip. Every instinct said stop, but the whisper from the CB repeated, don't brake. So I didn't. I kept that pedal pinned like prayer. The road cut through a low valley where rock walls leaned close. The rearview mirror caught a shape hugging my blind spot. A black pickup with no lights, no chrome, no plate. Its hood matched my trailer like a reflection that refused to separate. And though I couldn't see the driver, I felt him. The way you feel heat through glass or the way a dog senses thunder before it hits. My CB clicked twice. Then a voice, male, calm like reading from a logbook, said, don't look back. Then gone. I drove 30 miles without breathing right. Every few seconds, my eyes twitched toward the mirror on instinct. Each time the pickup was closer. The distance never stayed the same. Sometimes 20 feet, sometimes 2. Like it was choosing how scared I should be. When I reached the rest area near Shiprock turnoff, the lot was empty. No cars, no lights, just 2 benches and a soda machine that hummed louder than reason. I pulled in hard, brake squealing, and swung the flashlight to the rear. Nothing. Trailer fine. No dent, no scratch, no dirt. Like nothing had touched it. But the air hummed. Low frequency, deep enough to buzz the ribs. It felt alive. And in that hum, I swore I could hear an idle engine, perfectly synced with my heartbeat. I turned the truck off. The hum stayed. And then, from the direction of the road, 2 headlights blinked on, far off, coming slow, then stopping. The same dead white glare, motionless on the asphalt. No sound. No shape behind them. Just the lights floating, watching. I got back into the cab and locked both doors. The CB hissed to life one more time, voice shaky, like a man speaking from underwater. If he follows, don't let him pass. If he passes, don't follow. Then silence. I killed the headlights, leaned forward, stared through the windshield. Those lights out there blinked once. And something laughed through the static, short, breathy, almost human. Then they began to roll toward me, slow and steady. The headlights kept coming. Not fast, steady, patient. Like whoever, or whatever, drove that pickup already knew I'd run out of options. I jammed the shifter, spun the wheel, and pulled back onto the highway. Gravel spat like rain on the fenders. The mirrors filled with white glare again, and for a few heartbeats I let instinct drive. Speed, noise, movement. Anything but stillness. At 75 the rig started to float. You ever feel a 40-ton truck get light? It's the road telling you it's done helping. I eased the pedal, praying to find a sweet spot between too slow for safety and too fast for death. The headlights didn't care. They hung behind me like a leash, never gaining, never losing. Breaker 19 eastbound 47, I said into the CB, breath chopping every word. Got a unit tailing me with no lights, no plate. Any DPS up? Static answered, then a burst of laughter, distorted, like tape run backward. I dropped the mic. It swung from its cord and knocked the dash twice, polite as a guest reminding me I'd left it waiting. The road bent through an arroyo where the land swallowed its own echo. That's when the light changed color, white to amber, warm like sunset even though the clock read 3:12 a.m. The glow filled the cab, soft, wrong. My own hands on the wheel looked borrowed, someone else's skin stretched over mine. And in that honey light the black pickup slipped forward until its hood aligned with my trailer's doors, perfect as a reflection that decided to race me. No driver behind the glass. Just darkness thick enough to bend. A hum crawled up through the steering column, deep as a subwoofer's breath. Not engine vibration, something lower, organic, rhythmic. My pulse started matching it whether I liked it or not. I tried to glance away but my eyes stuck to the side mirror. The pickup's windshield brightened from inside, glowing faint red, and for a second I saw shapes moving, arms maybe or wings made of smoke. Then the radio screamed. A woman's voice, sharp with panic, "Don't look. Cover the..." It cut. All at once, silence again. My hand flew to the glove box, found the same filthy rag I'd used months before to wipe oil off the dipstick. I slapped it over the mirror and taped it down with duct that tore off crooked. The second I did, the hum dipped like whatever road the glass had to gasp. The pickup lagged half a car length. Hope felt like oxygen again. Then the passenger side mirror winked. A flash, tiny silver. The tape on that side peeled by itself, curling like a tongue. The towel fluttered to the asphalt and vanished under the trailer wheels. In the naked mirror I saw nothing but road, and then, faint and distant, another pair of headlights. Not mine. Not behind. Ahead. 2 points of light high in the air, angled wrong, like a truck cresting a hill that didn't exist. I blinked. They dropped level, same height as mine, closing fast from the opposite lane. No hum of engine, no tire noise. Just those orbs sliding closer, steady as pendulums. The black pickup tucked tight to my bumper again, boxing me between lights front and back. I had nowhere. No shoulder, just desert falling off into miles of scrub. Speedometer hit 82. The cab rattled. Something inside the walls of the trailer started thumping, slow, heavy, answering the rhythm of that hum. Each thud felt closer to the seat. "Stay straight," I whispered. I see you, I see you." Sometimes talking makes the fear obey. At the crest of the next hill, the oncoming lights blinked out. The pickup behind flared brighter, burning my retinas in the mirror's edge. The whole highway turned white for half a second. Then nothing. No road. No stars. Only a glow the color of ash, swallowing everything but the outline of my own dashboard. Then sound returned all at once. Engine roar, horn blare, the slam of my heartbeat trying to claw free. The pickup was gone. The world righted itself like a coin after a spin. I coasted, half blind, tears leaking from the flash. Every gauge sat dead. Fuel, speed, touch, zeros. But the truck was still moving, steady as ever. The CB popped again, softer now. A man's drawl, faint, maybe from Gallup relay. 47, you there? You just dropped off radar near the Shiprock turn. Everything good? I keyed up, voice rough. Yeah. Some electrical. Lost mirrors. Maybe heat. Pause. Then, copy. You watched that stretch. Lot of stories. Yeah, I said. Heard a few. I didn't tell him the air still smelled like ozone and blood, or that my gauges had never come back. I just drove. 30 more miles to daylight. Every nerve waiting for a glint in the glass, a hum in the frame, a reason to start praying again. At 4:07 a.m. the dashboard clock blinked once and died. The windshield fogged from inside, letters tracing themselves backward across the glass. Not yet. The letters faded as quick as they came. Not yet. Just condensation, I told myself. The kind your brain invents when sleep hides around the next bend. But the windshield stayed cold. Cold from the inside, as though the cab had swallowed the night and couldn't digest it. I killed the AC, turned the vents to hot, full blast. Nothing changed. Steam gathered along the dash vents instead, curling toward the glass like fingers. Then came the tapping. From the sleeper bunk behind me, 3 quick knocks, pause, 2 more. Wood on metal. Measured. I froze. The truck was sealed. No one back there. I checked before leaving Gallup. Still, I grabbed the flashlight, unlatched the seatbelt and turned. The bunk curtain hung open just an inch. Dark inside, darker than the cab. My hand trembled as I reached for the curtain. Anybody there? No answer, just a faint rustle, fabric against fabric. Then the mirrorless side window fogged over. A handprint appeared, small, feminine, fingers long and sharp at the tips. Palm outward like it wanted in. Another handprint bloomed beside it. Then another. 6 total, all at once, pressing from outside, or maybe from somewhere that didn't bother with direction. I snapped the curtain shut and hit the gas. The rig groaned forward. Tires screamed, sand sprayed. For a moment, the handprints slid down the glass as if dragged by gravity that had changed its mind. The CB cracked alive. Same calm male voice as before, only closer, as if he sat in the passenger seat. "Don't stop," he said. "You already did once." I spun toward the passenger side. Empty seat. Seatbelt buckle swaying gently, clicking against the door like a metronome. Then a reflection winked in the side window. Faint chrome outline, black paint drinking every star. The pickup was back. But not outside. It rode beside the truck, half merged with the desert, matching my speed without tires or dust. A trick of the eyes, maybe. Except my headlights bent around it. The beams curved, deflected, as if the air near it had turned to glass. I pressed the pedal harder. 80. 90. The landscape smeared into red-gray blur. The black shape held even. When I glanced again, its windows had gone mirror smooth. And for the first time something looked back. Not a driver, me. My own reflection sitting behind that windshield, hands on another wheel, mouth open in a silent scream. Only difference. His eyes were dark sockets and his jaw kept moving like he was trying to chew the world down to nothing. "Get off me," I shouted, jerking the wheel. The trailer fishtailed, dust exploded across the road, and the black truck peeled away in a perfect arc, drifting parallel until it faced me head-on. No screech, no skid. Just immediate alignment, hood to hood, both of us doing 90 through a world that had stopped making sense. In the brief eternity before collision, every sound died. Even the engine cut. Only my heartbeat remained, and under it, the same whisper I'd heard through the CB earlier. "If he passes, don't follow." Then everything folded inward. No crash. No shattering glass. Just pressure like being pushed through a keyhole, and a flash of color that didn't belong to this planet. I blinked and I was parked. Middle of the highway. Engine idling smooth. Sun just breaking over the red mesas. The road empty in both directions. Fuel gauge half full. Mirrors spotless, unbroken, reflecting morning like they'd slept fine. For a minute I believed it had been a blackout dream. Until I noticed the dirt. A perfect ring of black dust circled the entire truck. Wide as my trailer, fine as soot. And inside the circle, not a single track. No wind pattern, no tire prints, no me. Just stillness. I pulled the mic from its cradle. "Breaker 19, I said. "Anyone east of Gallup copy?" Static. Then a familiar voice, thin, worn, tired. My own. "Don't let him live in the mirrors." The CB went dead. Battery light flashed, then cleared. I sat there until the sun burned the chill off the windshield, pretending warmth was the same thing as safety. Later that day at a diner outside Farmington, a Navajo mechanic spotted the ring on my tires. He knelt, touched the residue, sniffed it and stepped back fast. "You drove the black one," he said quietly. "It finds men who think fear is a story. Next time it drives, you ride." I left the truck at the yard that afternoon. Still there, far as I know, parked between rigs that dream of distance. The mirrors stay covered with shop towels. Every few nights, the watchman swears he hears an engine start by itself, humming a low, steady rhythm like a heartbeat through the frame. And sometimes before dawn, he says 2 headlights appear in the yard. No truck between them. Just the lights, waiting. They told me not to drive the old road after midnight. Locals at the Gallup diner said it like they were warning me about bad coffee, not death. "After midnight," the waitress said, leaning on the counter, "you might see her near the pinnacle. If you do, don't stop. She's not what she looks like." I laughed. Everyone laughs the first time. Because it's easier than asking who she is. The Shiprock pinnacle rises out of the desert like a dagger, stabbing through centuries of wind and myth. The Navajo call it Sebidai, the rock with wings. They say it carried their ancestors to safety long ago, until lightning burned its wings off. Now it's stranded forever, a shadow that never leaves. It was my second month on the route. I ran freight east, Gallup to Farmington, every night except Sundays. Most guys refused the shift. Too lonely, too quiet, too many stories. But I needed miles and ghosts don't pay rent. The night it happened, the air was still. No wind, no bugs, just heat leaking out of the earth. My headlights painted the road silver. The pinnacle loomed ahead, black against a violet sky. Radio dead, no chatter. You could hear your own pulse echo in the glass. I passed the old rest area, the one with the busted vending machine. Someone had spray painted over the words Devil's Highway with thick red letters. The paint still dripped. I remember thinking, fresh. Like whoever did it hadn't left yet. Then at mile marker 27 she appeared. A girl on the shoulder, white dress glowing faintly, hair dark and heavy like it was still wet. She stood perfectly still, facing the pinnacle, thumb out, arm rigid. Barefoot. Something about that hit me wrong. Barefoot in the desert at 1 a.m. meant frostbite or worse. But she looked small, young. Maybe 20, maybe less. I slowed. The cab light flicked itself on without me touching it. For a second, the inside of the truck felt like a fishbowl under a street lamp. I waved, trying to look friendly, and rolled to a stop beside her. Need a ride? I called out through the window. She turned her head slowly. Her face was pale but clean, eyes wide, like she'd just woken from a dream she wasn't supposed to remember. She didn't answer, just looked past me at the passenger seat. Then she smiled, tiny and polite, like I'd offered her something she already owned. Farmington, she said. Voice soft even. I nodded, unlocked the door. She climbed in without another word. No shoes, no bag. Just that white dress and skin cold enough to frost the air. For a while we drove in silence. The CB muttered faint static as if too nervous to speak. Her hair smelled faintly like rain and smoke. When I glanced over, she was watching the road ahead, hands folded in her lap like a child on a church pew. You from around here? I asked, trying to sound casual. She didn't look at me. I was. She smiled again, but the kind of smile that means please stop asking. I didn't. You headed to see family? I already saw them. Her voice was calm, like she'd practiced that line 100 times. Then she added, they didn't know it. The hair on my arms lifted. I focused on the yellow lines, the only things keeping me in this world. A minute later, she turned her face toward the window and whispered, don't take the left. There is no left, I said, half laughing. And then, headlights ahead. A split in the road that didn't exist yesterday. To the left, a smaller lane curving toward the pinnacle. The sign read Service Road 77, closed. I'd never seen it before. I slowed instinctively. Her hand shot out, grabbed my arm, ice cold. Don't take the left, she repeated. I pressed the gas instead. She released me. For a few miles, neither of us spoke. The road behind stayed black, no reflection, no light. Finally, I looked at her again. She was staring at me, eyes wide, as if measuring something invisible around my head. Are you okay? I asked. She blinked once, slow. Then said, almost curious, you can see me, can't you? I didn't answer. Because the temperature had dropped 10 degrees, and every breath now fogged the windshield. She smiled again, and I swear I saw a tear roll down her cheek. Only it didn't fall. It floated like it didn't know which way gravity worked. I reached to turn the heat up, and realized I could see the road through her arm. I didn't hit the brakes. I didn't even flinch. When you see the road through somebody's arm, your brain does you a favor. It files the moment under don't touch. Heat up. Eyes forward. No sudden moves. She kept her hand where it was, hovering just above her knee like she remembered weight but not how to own it. The cab had gone refrigerator cold. The vents blew air that felt like it came up from a well. Outside, the pinnacle slid along the passenger side, that black tooth cutting the night into layers. Okay, I said quietly because silence was becoming a second person in the truck. What do I call you? She tilted her head, almost amused. Most people don't ask. That's not an answer. She thought about it, eyes on the glass, and said, Lena. The name felt borrowed. Or returned. Where in Farmington? I tried. Past it, she said. You'll know. The way she said you'll know crawled under my skin like ants. A soft buzz tickled the CB. No voice yet, just the line warming up like it had decided to watch. I turned the squelch down to a whisper and let it be. Sometimes the road wants to speak through tin. If you grab too hard, it stops. We approached the bend where that service road 77, closed, had split off. I didn't plan to look, but my eyes glanced anyway. Human eyes are traitors. There it was again. The lane curving left toward the pinnacle, sign bowed, reflective tape dead, gravel pale as bone. The odd thing wasn't that it existed. The odd thing was the shadow on it, moving the wrong direction, left to right, like a cloud had changed its mind about the wind. "Don't take the left," Lena said again, hardly louder than breath. "What happens if I do?" She turned her face toward me, and for a heartbeat I saw a second face behind the first. Same features, older grief, the way a photograph ages when carried in a wallet too long. "It doesn't end," she said. The CB clicked twice. A man's voice bled in, gravel-worn, calm. "Eastbound by the rock, you got a passenger?" I stared at the radio. Lena didn't move. I thumbed the mic. "Who's asking?" "You're not the first," he answered, like we were discussing weather. "Keep to the main. If she reaches for the glass, you're already late." Static gnawed the rest. I set the mic down very carefully. "How many drivers have you ridden with?" I asked. "Enough," she said. Then, almost tender, "Not as many as the road wanted." We passed the split. In the mirror I couldn't help catching a sliver of it. The left lane shimmering faintly like heat on asphalt, though the night had gone cold enough to bite. A shape stood at the mouth of the service road, a tall man or a thin fence post. The difference didn't matter, both are there to stop you. My dash clock jumped a minute forward. 1:42 to 1:44, then settled. Time misses steps out there. It tripped for me and kept walking. Lena exhaled a sound I didn't know humans made. Relief, maybe. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not wanting an answer." For 10 miles, the only noise was tire song and the low old house settling of a tired cab. The cold eased from glacier to cellar. You could almost pretend we were two strangers sharing a strange ride. Then the smell came. Not rot. Not ozone. Roses. A whole room of roses, heavy and wrong in a desert that had never seen a florist's van. The scent flooded the cab in a breath. Lena's hands curled, slow as if remembering fists. "Don't open the window," she whispered. "He likes the smell." "Who?" I asked, though I already knew. "The one who waits at the left." The CB thumped once like a knuckle. "Copy eastbound," the calm man's voice returned, a shade tighter now. "If you smell flowers, you're in the story." Eyes forward. I didn't ask him how he knew. His voice had the weight of someone who'd paid tuition. Lena leaned closer to the glass, hair sliding over her shoulder like slow water. The window fogged in the perfect oval of a face. Letters traced in the condensation, backward to me, correct to the night. And O left. She didn't write them. They formed where her breath should have. Something flickered ahead, low, off the shoulder, the color of television snow. I eased off the throttle. The road spilled into a shallow dip where erosion had scarred the earth. On the right side, a little turnout flowered into existence. A concrete pad, a single pump, canopy lights flickering like tired eyelids. No wires feeding it. No station shack. Just the promise of fuel in a place that doesn't keep promises. I put my foot down. We rolled past at 60. The pump head turned a fraction, following like a face. "You're doing well," Lena said softly, as if teaching a child to cross a street. "You sound surprised. Most men stop when the world offers something familiar. You don't." "I did," she said. "Once." Her voice folded on the word once the way paper creases before it tears. I wanted to ask when, where, how far from this exact mile. Instead I asked, "How do I know when you get out?" "You'll know," she said again, but the echo of the first time had softened. "Don't leave anything in the seat after I do. Not even a coin." "Why?" "Because he counts," she said. "He likes debt." The CB cracked louder now. "Eastbound, keep your hands off the glass," a new voice warned, a woman this time, urgent, younger. "He copies what he can touch." My fingers had crept to the window without me noticing. I jerked them back like the glass had burned me. Lena didn't look at me, but I saw the ghost of gratitude pass over her face. The pinnacle filled the side window, closer than it should be, as if the road had edged toward it while we weren't watching. And on the flats beneath it, something moved, dozens of somethings, small and quick, darting like animals. Coyotes? Rabbits? They stopped all at once and faced the road, as bright as dropped pins. Then the service lane reappeared. No warning, no sign, just there, merging left half into my lane like a zipper missing teeth. This time there was traffic on it. Headlights, close and polite, a queue of cars rolling slow as a cortege. At the front, a black sedan with its driver door open, hazards blinking. A woman stood by the door, white dress fluttering in a wind I didn't feel. She raised her hand, palm out, the old simple plea that stops 1,000 men a day. Lena's fingers tensed on her lap. "Don't take the left," she breathed, voice smaller now. "He wants to see the two of us together." "He who?" "The man who makes roads for the dead." The queue in the left lane drifted closer, inch by inch, like gravity pivoted. My steering wheel tugged that way, subtle, the pull you get when a rut carves across a dirt track. I clamped down, corrected. The CB spat static that formed a single word. Left, then cut. The sedan's driver turned toward me. Not the woman, the driver. He was taller than the doorframe and his head was wrong. Too long. As if someone had pulled the idea of a face toward the sky and it obeyed. "Eyes forward," Lena said. "We're almost through." "How will we know?" "When the pinnacle stops looking," she said. I laughed, a raw edge. "Rocks don't look." "Tonight they do." The left lane's hazards flashed in a rhythm that didn't match electricity. The pattern crawled under my skin, code pretending to be light. Roses swelled again, nearly choking. My eyes watered. The wheel tugged left twice hard. "Hold me," Lena whispered. The words shocked me, they sounded human, frail. I didn't touch her. I gripped the wheel until my knuckles burned and said, "I've got you anyway." The sedan's open door cleared my bumper by inches that felt like miles. Something tapped the passenger window twice, gentle, like a friend too shy to knock. The glass frosted over from the outside. A mouth-shaped oval pressed there, lips moving without sound. "Don't look," she said, and for once I obeyed before thinking. I kept the lane, kept the speed, kept the world to the rectangle my headlights owned, and nowhere else. The service road slid away. The queue of cars didn't. It just unhappened, like breath sucked back into a body. The pinnacle shrank a fraction and stopped feeling like a person. The CB squealed, then sighed. Someone said very softly, "Good." Lena's hands relaxed. The air warmed enough to mist the cold into nothing. And in the reflection at the edge of the windshield I saw it. The passenger seat, empty for half a blink. When I turned, she was still there. But her feet weren't touching the floor. Her feet hovered an inch above the mat. No weight, no creak of springs, no wrinkle in the rubber. Just absence where gravity should have found a home. I didn't swerve. I didn't speak. The cab understood first. It went quiet the way a church goes quiet when a door opens by itself. Lena folded her hands again, almost embarrassed, like a child caught standing on a couch. "Almost," she said. "To where?" She nodded toward the windshield. "You'll know." The pinnacle shifted back to a rock, not a watcher, edges softening as if it had laid its burden down. Desert air climbed a few degrees. The vents finally blew the kind of warm that belongs to engines, not cellars. Even the CB found manners and kept its mouth shut. I risked it. "How long have you been out here?" She didn't meet my eyes. "Longer than men admit when they pass me." "And your family?" She smiled without teeth. "They remember me from before. Not from after." We rolled past a tangle of old fence posts, weather-silvered, leaning like drunks. Beyond them, the flats heaved gently with sage. The sky had begun that difficult transition between violet and gray, when you can't tell if dawn is arriving or changing its mind. A new smell crept in, thin and sharp. Old smoke, like a campfire whose ashes had been stirred by a stick. Lena inhaled, quick, the first urgent breath I'd seen her take. "Don't stop," she said. "Not for smoke. Not for water. Not for men who know your name." "Nobody out here knows my name," I said. The CB clicked once. "Driver," a voice said, Soft, neighborly, the kind that sells you fence posts at cost. You missed your left a mile back. You know better than that, Tom. I tasted iron. I hadn't told anyone my name since Gallup. I let the mic hang. Not him, Lena said. He learned it from the glass. I looked instinctive, stupid. In the side window's night tint, the cab drew our reflections just enough to count us. My shoulders. Her white dress. And behind both, tall as the sleeper, a long fuzzy shape like a man who forgot how to end. I tore my gaze forward and kept both hands on the wheel like I was praying to it. Road signs appeared, too many, too clean. Services 2 miles. Fuel. Food. Showers. Each one leaned a different way as if installed by people who had never agreed on up. Headlights winked to life on the shoulder ahead. A patrol car, hood popped, bar lights dead. A trooper in a hat stood behind it, one hand on the hood, the other giving me the palm down slow it down wave I've obeyed since Ohio. He didn't look at the truck. He looked at me. Right through the glass into my eyes. Mouth moved. Too many teeth. Don't stop, Lena said. He's law. He is a law, she answered. Not ours. I eased left a lane, nothing there to merge into, just the gesture of courtesy, and rolled by at 50. The trooper's hat didn't shadow his face. Hats should cast shade at dawn. He lifted 2 fingers to the brim in a salute that bent the wrong direction at the knuckle. Then the world thinned, fast, the way a bad dream remembers the way out. The road brightened to true morning. My dash clock decided to tell time again, 4:58 a.m. The pinnacle shrank in the mirror into a shape a map could live with. Lena exhaled. There, she said. Now you can ask. I didn't, not right away. In that new light she looked ordinary, tired girl in a borrowed white dress. The face you'd passed twice in a grocery aisle and only recognized the 3rd time because you'd noticed the quiet. Then I saw her bare feet again, and the thin gray dust clinging to the ankles like ash that refuses to finish burning. What happened to you? I asked, not because I deserved an answer but because I would choke on it if I didn't try. She studied the world ahead as if checking a list. I took the left, she said. When it wasn't there to take. I was late from work. I liked shortcuts. He builds those. Who is he? The man who adds roads, she said. He takes mirrors first. Eyes later. She touched the window glass with 2 fingers, didn't quite make contact. Frost bloomed under the print's suggestion, then faded. You want me to drop you, where? You'll know, she said again, and I finally believed her. Knowing arrives like a sign you didn't remember reading years ago. The desert opened. Ahead, a crossroads. Not on my map. 2 thin lanes meeting in a tilted plus. The paint still bright, the stop signs perfect diamonds. At the corner, a single pole with a rusted mailbox, red flag up. No houses. No fence. Only that box waiting for a letter in a language the wind could read. Here, she said. Don't stop. I rolled through at 20, slow enough to commit the place to memory, fast enough to obey. She turned to me then and the cab cooled one last small degree. Thank you, she said. For what? For keeping the road to yourself. She rested her palm on the seat, finally touching something. Under her hand, the vinyl darkened like water-soaking cloth. Not a stain. A shadow remembering. She took her hand away and the shadow stayed. Don't leave anything there, she reminded me. Not even a coin. Because he counts, I said. Dad. She smiled like a teacher hearing her lesson come back whole. A wind woke up out of nowhere and ran a lace of dust across the lane. I blinked just once. When the dust fell, the passenger seat was empty. No door sound. No sigh. Just the absence settling into shape. The CB, polite as a clerk, cleared its throat with a burst of static. Eastbound passing the winged rock, a woman's voice said, hushed with relief, "You're good to go, driver." Eyes forward. I keyed the mic for the first time since my name had been stolen. "Copy," I said. One aboard, one away. Farmington broke the horizon in a brown line of roofs. I pulled into a small lot for coffee thick enough to stand a spoon. When I climbed down, I made myself look properly at the passenger seat. Nothing. No wrinkle. No stray hair. Only that oval of dark, a lighter dark inside the vinyl, like a head had rested there many nights, refusing where but leaving memory. I locked the cab, went in, sat with truckers who told lies like men tacking planks to keep water out. Nobody mentioned ghosts. They never do. It's enough to say left lanes closed, and see who argues. On the way out, I caught my reflection in the diner glass. Tired man, grit in the beard, eyes older than coffee. Behind me through the window, the truck's passenger seat shone like any other vinyl. You can't photograph a promise, but you can keep it. I drove back through the next night at straight up noon, because day lets a fool pretend he's a scientist. The service road wasn't there. The crossroads wasn't there. The mailbox wasn't there. The sign about Devil's Highway was, only the paint had dried and blistered in the heat, peeling off in curls that looked like paper tongues. At the mile where she'd first stood, someone had left a small ring of smooth stones. Inside it, a white ribbon. It didn't move in the wind. I didn't stop to fix it. I didn't stop to read prayer. I keep the passenger seat empty now. No jacket. No lunch pail. No coins. Not because I'm superstitious. Because I pay what I owe. And sometimes on the glass at the edge of morning, the letters write themselves backward and simple. N-O left. When they do, I nod once to the pinnacle and keep the lane, and the road between Gallup and Shiprock, the mile that remembers, lets me pass like a man it's not finished with yet. You learn quick that silence has a weight. Out on the New Mexico desert, it sits on your shoulders heavier than the rig. The locals call that stretch the Devil's Highway even though the signs say 491 now, and they smile when they say it, like they know the jokes on whoever drives it after dark. I never believed in curses. I believed in maintenance schedules and coffee. But belief isn't a safety feature. It started a little past Gallup, 2 a.m. Tuesday. Dispatch had me running empty pallets up toward Shiprock. 3-hour trip, clean weather, clear sky. The CB had been dead all week, just static. I flicked through the channels out of habit, listening for the ghosts of truckers who still talk to keep the road from swallowing them. On channel 19, someone whispered my handle. Red Jack, you eastbound? The voice sounded like it had traveled through a wet wire. I clicked the mic, copy that. Who's calling? Nothing but breathing. Then soft, you're early. I laughed. Buddy, I'm 30 minutes late. The laugh echoed, same tone, same timing, through the speaker as if I'd said it twice. Then static swallowed it. I turned the squelch down, told myself it was Skip from Arizona. Still, the air inside the cab felt crowded, like someone had opened a door you couldn't see. Every gauge glowed the color of sick honey. Mile 22. A billboard half folded by wind. Keep right. Stay awake. Jesus rides with you. Someone had spray painted over Jesus with whoever answers. I sped up. The CB clicked again, 3 times, rhythm like a heartbeat. Then a woman's voice, whispering so close it could have been behind my ear. Breaker 19, you missed him. I grabbed the mic. Missed who? The radio squealed, high and long, the pitch of a human scream flattened into static. It cut off mid-breath. Ahead, the highway shimmered as if heat still lived under the pavement. A pair of taillights appeared about half a mile ahead, steady red dots. Finally, company. I pushed the throttle, closing distance. The taillights stayed the same size no matter how long I drove. Driver ahead, you copy? I called. No answer. I flashed the brights once, courtesy on empty roads. The taillights blinked back in perfect sync, as though my reflection had learned manners. When I reached the next dip, they vanished. The CB spoke again, male voice now, steady, older. Red Jack, don't chase him. I froze. I hadn't given my handle to anyone tonight. Who is this? Channels open both ways now, he said. Keep it clean. Keep it quiet. Then lower, if you hear yourself, don't answer. The radio popped, bled silence, and I realized the outside air had gone still. No wind. No hum from the tires, even though the speedometer read 60. Only the faint crackle of the speaker filling the void like nervous laughter. I reached for the volume. Before I touched it, my own voice came through the CB, grainy and slow. Breaker 19, this is Red Jack. You eastbound? I yanked the power cord out of the set. The voice kept talking. Every word I'd said since Gallup repeated back, half a beat late, but bending, like something trying to learn my accent. I killed the headlights. The desert didn't change. It glowed faint gray, enough to see the ribbon of asphalt stretched thin as a scar. Far ahead, Shiprock's silhouette rose from the earth, and around its base a halo of static fire danced, white, silent lightning that never touched the ground. Then, through the unplugged radio, my voice again, louder this time. "You're early." The steering wheel jerked right hard. I corrected, heart pounding, tires skimming the rumble strip. The seat belt tightened on its own, like the truck had decided to parent me. I forced the wheel straight. "Not tonight," I said, voice shaking. The CB whispered one final word, soft, almost tender, "Copy." And from the desert on my left, headlights bloomed one by one, lining up along the horizon in a perfect row. They didn't move. They didn't blink. Just stared. They say a dead carrier's the loneliest sound in trucking. That thin open hiss when nobody's talking, nobody's listening, but the line stays alive like a mouth that forgot how to close. The row of headlights on my left hugged the horizon, equidistant, like runway markers for a sky that never learned to land. They didn't throw beams. They didn't paint the sage. Just points, eyes with no skull. I plugged the CB back in because men prefer rules, even haunted ones, and the first rule of not dying is knowing what you're up against. The speaker woke with a dry cough. Then a voice, male, measured, the one from earlier, folded in like he'd always been there. "Red Jack, you're still on." "Who are you?" I asked. "A friend," he said. "Or a recording of one." "Can't tell from here." "From where?" "From after," he answered, as gentle as a nurse pulling a sheet. The rig drifted. I centered it with 2 fingers and noticed they were trembling. I set them flat on the leather till the shake finished its say. "Listen up," the voice continued. "The lights to your left? They're not coming. They're measuring." "Measuring what?" "How much of you the radio already has." I reached for the volume. Before I touched it, the lights blinked in a pattern, left to right, a wave. The CB synced to it with 3 soft clicks. Then a woman, not the waitress voice from Gallup, but something older, smoke-laced. "Breaker 19. Red Jack. Do you copy, copy, copy?" Each copy folded back on itself, thinner, stretched like tape pulled over a nail. My thumb hovered over the transmit key. Rule number 2 from the voice earlier crawled back. If you hear yourself, don't answer. This wasn't me. Yet the urge to answer was a thirst. Lonely men will drink sand if it sounds wet. I didn't key. The row of lights dimmed a hair, like sulking. A low hum crept up through the floorboard. The same frequency tires sing on ice, except the night was dry and the road a clean scar into nowhere. Half a mile ahead, the shoulder widened into a level pad of dirt. In my high beams a small box rose out of the earth. A call box, old state issue, the paint bleached to a color with no name. No solar panel. No phone line. Just a metal ear on a stalk. The CB hissed brighter. "Pull over," a new voice ordered, clean and bureaucratic. "State maintenance. Check-in required. We've got a safety alert for unit KQ9, plate ending in 247. That was my plate. I felt my jaw unlock, felt teeth I didn't know I clenched. "How did you?" I started, then bit the mic off. "Don't talk. Don't feed it." The call box tilted as I passed. Not wind. It watched. "Red Jack," the first man's voice returned, soft. "You're doing fine. 2 more tests and they'll tire." "They?" "The road," he said. I tasted pennies. "Tell me the tests." He took a breath. "First, a convoy that isn't. You're going to get taillights. They'll keep the same distance no matter your speed. If you brake, they pass under. If you speed, they pull away and wait behind the next hill. They want you to prove you know the difference between a leader and a mirror. And second, a voice you're sure is a friend. Not yours, someone you owe. You'll want to answer. Don't. Why? Because once the road has 2 of you, it doesn't need the truck." I turned that over while the speedo crept to 65 on its own and then forgot a number, dropped to 0, jumped to 72. The gauges started to breathe, needles lifting and falling in unison like the dash had learned tide. Taillights appeared. 2 red coins ahead, patient proper. Driver, you copy? I said, breaking my own rule because flesh loves a witness. The coins widened, then thinned, then grew to the exact same size again. I eased up. They didn't. I accelerated. They didn't. At the top of a low rise, they vanished. At the bottom, they reappeared. Same distance, same red, same rhythm. Convoy that isn't, I muttered and let them be. The CB gave a soft tick-tick. Morse without meaning. Then the second test arrived. Jack. The voice hit hard under the ribs. My kid. Not the kid voice from the voicemail I replay when the road's too long. The current voice, 14 new low notes. The blind confidence that believes trucks never break and dads never fall asleep doing 80. Mom said you were still driving. Coach moved practice to 6. My cleats messed. You got tape? Blood left my hands. Where are you? I said before I could stop it. The mic was still on the hook. I hadn't keyed. The radio didn't care. Home, the voice said. A small sound followed. Something like a cereal bowl kissed a counter. Your show's on. Come watch with me. You promised. The lights to my left blinked, pleased. I swallowed a mouthful of needles and forced the words out through my teeth. Not him, I told the windshield. Not mine. Silence returned like a parent after closing the door to a kid's room. Then the row of lights winked out, one by one, as if a fuse burned backwards. The CB settled to a housekeeping hiss, gentle, domestic. Good, the man said. Who are you? I asked again because names make maps where roads refuse. He thought about it and said, a driver who answered. I talked to a voice that knew my daughter's broken our key on her laptop and the name of our dog that died. When I looked down, my hands were on a wheel that wasn't mine and the mirror wasn't glass. You keep your answers to yourself, read Jack. The highway shouldered up. Shiprock loomed fat and wrong, closer than the miles I knew I'd spent. The silhouette had gathered friends. Thin spires hovered where no geology allowed. Heat lightning blinked inside the stone like a heart learning CPR. Ahead, the taillights stopped on the asphalt at a 45-degree angle, like a car ready to pull into a station that never grew. Between them, low to the ground, a woman in white knelt, hair pasted to her cheek by a wind that didn't touch anything else. Her face was turned away. She raised a hand, palm toward me, a child's speed limit sign. My foot went for the brake. The man's voice turned iron. Don't stop. She'll die, I said. She already did. How do you know? Because you're hearing me, he said with a kindness that made me hate him. And because you're about to hear yourself. The CB bloomed with me, my breath, my swallow, my small, hopeless laugh. Breaker 19, anybody westbound near Shiprock copy? Got a female down in the lane. I'm stopping. I watched the mic where it hung. My hand didn't move. But through the speaker my voice clicked the key and kept talking. Copy, stopping now. The taillights flared, begging. The woman didn't turn. I chose. I kept the wheel straight. I kept the speed at 55. I did not key the mic. I drove through the scene like a surgeon through memory. The woman and the lights unthreaded and drifted apart, not struck. Separated, the way smoke becomes air. Silence fell so clean it clicked. The row of horizon lights stayed gone. The CB breathed once, twice. Then a brand new voice cut in, bright, official, relief flooding its edges. Unit KQ9, this is Gallup Base, we're receiving you. You're live on channel 19. Go ahead with your situation. I lifted the mic, locked eyes on the road, and did not press the button. Red Jack, the man said softly, you're a... The speaker popped. A sound like a mouth wetting its lips leaned close to the mic from inside my own cab. Driver, it said, my kid's timbre poured into a stranger's patience. What do they call you? We rolled into the hollow where radios sound best and prayers sound worst. Shiprock's shadow covered the cab like a hand. The voice that asked for my name came from everywhere at once. Not loud. Just close. Like someone leaning through a curtain you can't see. My hand hovered over the mic, sweat gluing my thumb to the talk button. That tiny square of plastic suddenly felt like the trigger to something that didn't belong to me. Don't answer, the man had said earlier. But the voice knew how to make silence sound rude. Driver, it said again, calm, coaxing. You've been talking all night. I'm just asking who I've been talking to. I let the mic fall. It thudded against the dash and swung from its cord, bump, 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 like a heartbeat that wanted a body back. Outside, the desert had stopped. No wind, no hum, even the tires forgot friction. The headlights hung in front of me like beams in syrup. If I blinked too long, they seemed to slide sideways. "Who are you?" I asked. The voice smiled through the speaker. "You already know. You brought me when you tuned the dial." The CB light glowed red. A new frequency bled in from nowhere, unlabeled, whisper pure. The man's voice returned, rough, urgent. "Red Jack, you're near the apex. Do not give it your name. That's the handshake." I grabbed the mic. "You're still here." "Sort of." "Where's here?" "Where the signal goes when the tower's gone." He coughed, a wet rattle through the wire. "It's the mirrors for people like us. Keeps what the glass can't hold." The other voice interrupted, smooth and amused. "Jack, tell him it's useless. He's already in playback." The red light blinked faster, sinking to my pulse. I slammed the radio's power knob. It refused to turn. Pulled the fuse. Still, the speaker whispered, "You can turn me off later. After you answer." Then the sound changed. No more words, just a layered chorus of every voice I'd heard since Gallup, repeating fragments, overlapping. "Copy, breaker. Don't stop, you're early." Each loop tighter, faster, a spool winding toward something sharp. The air inside the cab thickened, pressing against my skin like altitude. Shiprock loomed dead ahead, massive, black, veins of blue lightning crawling through its stone. For a second I thought it moved, not physically but nearer, the way a nightmare closes distance without walking. The truck slowed on its own. Speedometer slid to 30, 20, 15. The shifter vibrated. "Keep going," the man rasped through the static. "Don't let the signal stall." "I'm trying." "You're talking. That's enough. It needs you quiet." I forced the accelerator down. The pedals sank like mud, no power behind it. In the mirror, a glow pulsed, a halo of pale blue spreading across the highway behind me. Inside it floated shapes, rigs, sedans, all rolling perfect and empty, no drivers, windows down. Their CBs sparkled faint red, each humming the same unbroken tone. The voice laughed softly. "You call it 19. We call it home." "Get out," I said, half to myself. "Say it right," the voice corrected, playful. "Say I am Jack. Say I am here." Every nerve in my hand wanted to key that mic, to make the universe admit I existed. Because what's worse than dying on an empty road? Not being heard. Then a new voice joined, familiar in a way that broke the air. My daughter again. "Tired? Scared? Dad? We can't hear you. Say something." I gripped the wheel so tight I felt bone. The road narrowed into a tunnel of headlights, mine and all the phantom rigs behind me. Each beam flickered at the same frequency as the radio's hiss. The glass in the windshield vibrated. "Dad." Her voice cracked like a loose wire. "Dad, say I'm here." I almost did. The word "here" swelled against my teeth. Then the man's voice punched through, desperate, louder than the rest. "Jack. It's not her. It's me. Don't feed it your echo." The CB howled, a perfect sine wave that crawled inside the skull. The dash lights stuttered. In that pulse of darkness, the reflection in the windshield changed. No daughter. No me. Just a black mouth where the radio should have been, opening wider, wires like veins reaching. I slammed the clutch, downshifted to second, stomped the throttle till smoke screamed from the stacks. The surge jolted the cab. The radio crackled one last word, something between static and breath. "Goodbye." Then it went silent. Real silence. The kind that lets you hear your own blood. The engine coughed, caught, pulled. Shiprock slid past to the right, finally a rock again, not a doorway. The sky paled at the edges. The mirrors showed only sun rising over red sand. I drove until the clock read 6 and the highway spat me into Farmington's morning traffic. The CB sat dead, fuse blown, casing warm. I left it unplugged. At the yard, the dispatcher squinted at me. "Thought you broke down," he said. "You went dark at 2:06. "No," I said. "Radio's dead." He frowned, tapped his monitor. "Funny then, because we got a full transmission from your rig at 3:30. Whole 5 minutes of you talking." He clicked play. My own voice filled the office, calm and steady, reciting coordinates I didn't know, ending with a sentence that turned my stomach. "Breaker 19, this is Red Jack. If anyone's listening, keep it open. Don't let it die." He stopped the recording. "Hell of a story," he said. "You've been awake too long. Maybe." I signed my log and walked out into daylight that felt too thin. That night in the motel lot, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the cab, windows down, engine off, and listened to the empty frequency between static. Nothing. Then just once, faint but clean. Breaker 19 Red Jack. You copy? I didn't answer. But I smiled because for a second I knew exactly who I was. And I knew the road still remembered. Now when I run nights I keep the radio tuned to 19 but the mic taped shut. Because somewhere between Gallup and Shiprock, there's always someone calling. And the only way to live through it, is to let it ring. Every driver out here has a place he swears he'll never stop again. Mine's mile 188, the turnout the state calls Rest Area 13. If you drive 491 long enough, you'll see it. A squat cinderblock building, 2 vending machines for sodium lamps that buzz louder than the crickets. Nothing wrong with it in daylight. It's the night that rewrites it. I was 6 hours into a 12-hour run, Gallup to Cortez, hauling insulation that rattled when the wind hit the trailer. A thin rain had started, the kind that only exists to make wipers squeak. I told dispatch I'd stop for coffee and a stretch, then push through to Colorado. The clock read 1:37 a.m. when I rolled under the yellow lights. The lot was empty except for one sedan, dark blue, windows fogged, plates gone. The kind of car that looks abandoned even when someone's in it. I parked 3 spots away. Engine idle. Radio humming, low country static. A sign above the trash barrel read "No overnight parking." Somebody had carved an extra line underneath with a knife. "No overnight anything." I left the rig running and stepped out. Air cold enough to taste metal. Inside the restroom, a single fluorescent tube blinked behind a mesh guard, coloring everything funeral green. The floor shone wet though the rain hadn't reached this far. From the last stall came a noise, steady, rhythmic. Not water. Breathing. "Hello?" I called, pretending bravery. No answer. Just the breath, slow and measured like someone timing it to a metronome. I knelt, checked for shoes under the stall door. Bare feet. Too clean for a traveler's feet. And turned the wrong way, heels toward the toilet, toes toward me. I backed out slow, hand on the knife clipped to my belt. "Buddy, you all right in there?" Nothing. The breathing stopped. The fluorescent hummed harder, light stuttering. Then the stall door creaked open, slow, like a sound effect that knows it's being watched. No one came out. The air changed instead. Heavy, sweet, copper-thick like pennies boiled in water. I stepped backward into the hallway until the outside door's hinge moaned and the rain noise rushed back in. Behind me, the vending machine buzzed to life on its own, coin slot blinking 13. 13. Insert exact change. I didn't have change. I didn't want soda. But I watched the numbers cycle on the display, 13, 13, 13, 13, until they froze and the light died. Outside, the blue sedan's headlights flared once, bright as noon, then cut. I heard the engine turn over, but no tires moved. The rain stopped mid-drip, mid-sound, as if someone had paused the tape of the world. The CB in my cab barked, a channel I hadn't keyed. Breaker 19, any eastbound by Rest Stop 13? Don't go inside. I ran. Halfway to the rig, gravel gave way to asphalt that felt soft, sponge rubber soft. When I slammed the driver door and threw it in gear, the headlights caught the restroom window. A face looked out. Mine. Except the reflection blinked first. I floored it. The tires screamed, but for the first 100 feet the truck didn't move. Then the lot tilted under me like the earth exhaled. Everything snapped back. Sound, rain, engine roar. In the mirror, Rest Stop 13 shrank into black. For a mile after, my mirrors showed the restroom lights still burning though I was miles away. At 2:06 a.m. the CB came alive again, same voice, calmer now. "You made it out. Most don't stop twice." I keyed up. "Who is this?" "Someone parked before you. Keep your mirrors dirty." The line went dead. My windshield fogged from inside, faint letters drawing backward. "Next time pay." I didn't stop again that night. Didn't stop the next night either. For a week, I avoided that stretch altogether, rerouting through Arizona, burning extra diesel just to give whatever waited at Rest Stop 13 more room to breathe. By the 8th night it felt childish. Haunted bathrooms and talking radios are things you blame on caffeine and loneliness. So I told myself it was exhaustion, told dispatch I'd take the direct line again. Just once more to prove it was just asphalt and memory. The desert was clean that evening, sky split wide open, stars sharp enough to cut your eyes. No rain, no fog, nothing to blame. Somewhere near Gallup the CB crackled awake. Breaker 19, eastbound, anybody running solo tonight? Routine chatter. Human. Comforting. I answered. Red Jack here, northbound 491 light load. Pause. Copy that, Jack. You been through 13 lately? My knuckles stiffened on the wheel. Not in a week. Don't. Not tonight. They're collecting. Collecting what? Static. Then the sound of coins dropping one after another, clink, 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 until the channel went dead. I told myself it was prank Skip, some CB joker with too much whiskey and a bad imagination. Still, my stomach nodded as the mileage signs counted down. Mile 185. 186. 187. The rain returned, sudden as a flipped switch, slicing sideways in silver threads. The wipers squealed once, then fell silent. The motor running but blades frozen mid-swipe, the rubber fused to glass. The road curved and there it was again. 4 yellow lamps steady against the storm. Rest area 13. I didn't mean to slow. My foot just eased off the gas like the truck had decided to remember a habit for me. The lot looked empty. No blue sedan this time, no rigs, no life. Just the building humming faintly, the door open 3 inches and swinging in rhythm to the rain. The soda machines were dark except for the red digital display blinking a single number. 13. Nothing else. No insert coins, no out of order. Just that one number pulsing like a heartbeat. My CB clicked twice. Jack, a new voice said. Mel. Calm as paperwork. We kept your tab open. I didn't key up. The display on the soda machine blinked faster. 13, 13, 13, 13, then steadied again. The rig's headlights flickered, dimmed, then surged bright. Something moved inside the building behind the frosted window. A shape pacing from stall to stall. Not walking, gliding, smooth, deliberate. A low tone leaked from the CB, like feedback from a mic too close to its speaker. The air in the cab thinned. My ears popped as if altitude had changed. Exact change, Jack, the voice said. You still owe. What for? I whispered. You took the look. Lightning rolled behind the rest stop. For a second the glass went transparent and I saw what was pacing in there. A man or the memory of one. Naked from the waist down, his back open from shoulder to spine like a ripped envelope, black water dripping from the split. He turned toward the flash, face empty except for a wide, gray smile. I threw the truck in reverse. The tires spun but the rig didn't move. Rain hit the windshield in slow motion, each drop hanging like it was considering its next choice. The CB hissed again. You can leave, the voice said. We don't stop you. We just follow. The vending machine clunked. Something inside rolled down its metal track and hit the tray. A soda can, maybe. Or something shaped like one. The digital display cleared and printed new words in scarlet block letters. Take what's yours. Every instinct I owned screamed to drive, but my hand moved before thought. I opened the door, stepped into rain that didn't feel wet, just cold like air from an open freezer. The pavement under my boots rippled. Each step sank half an inch, then firmed again as if something under the surface didn't mind being walked on. At the vending machine, the glass shone brighter than it should. I looked down into the tray. No can. A coin. Silver, tarnished, thick as a washer, engraved with the number 13 on both sides. When I touched it, heat bit through the glove. Not burn hot. Alive hot. Behind me, the restroom door groaned wider. The breathing started again, slow, mechanical, like an engine idling in a coffin. I slipped the coin into my pocket and stepped backward toward the rig. That's when the rain stopped. Not slowed, stopped. The drops froze midair, hanging like crystal beads in the headlight glow. My shadow twisted sideways, stretching toward the restroom door. The shape in the window lifted its hand and pointed at me. The coin in my pocket pulsed once, twice, then went still. The CB exploded in feedback, shrill, endless. Through it came a single phrase repeated over and over, each repetition in a different voice. No overnight anything. No overnight anything. The truck shuddered as if something climbed the rear axle. I jumped inside, slammed the door, threw it in gear. This time the tires caught. The world snapped back into motion. Rain fell again all at once. The lot shrank behind me until the lights blurred out. At mile 191, the CB cut off mid-scream. In the sudden silence, I heard the faintest sound, a coin spinning on metal until it slowed and fell flat. From my pocket. The coin lay on the floor mat, still humming faintly when I picked it up. Its heat had gone, replaced by a slow pulse like something breathing through metal. I threw it in the glove box and slammed it shut, but the hum seeped through the latch, softer now, patient. Rain kept pace with the engine, each drop a metronome counting toward whatever waited next. At mile 192 the world steadied again. No static, no whispers, just highway and hum. But the windshield refused to clear. Condensation crept from the corners, a fog that traced numbers across the glass. 1313, until the wipers smeared them into gray veins. I turned on the defrost. Nothing. Cold air poured instead, thick with that copper-sweet smell I'd met inside the restroom. Then the CB woke up. No static, no click, just voice. A woman's, flat and official. Northbound unit KQ9, this is Stateway Station. We need to confirm your last stop. GPS shows you pulled into rest area 13 at 0137. My stomach dropped. Negative, I said. Past it didn't stop. We have footage, she replied, unbothered. We show driver exiting vehicle, entering structure, exiting 3 minutes later carrying. The audio glitched, rewound itself, repeated. Entering structure, exiting 3 minutes later carrying yourself. Then silence. I punched the CB off. Didn't matter. Her last words still clung to the cab, whispering between the raindrops. Ahead, the sky thinned to a gray bruise. Farmington, 30 miles. Sunrise waiting. Daylight fixes everything, I told myself. Ghosts are nocturnal. Bureaucracy burns them off like fog. At mile 198, I started hearing the vending machine again. Clink, clink, clink. Coins dropping inside metal ribs. Only it wasn't behind me, it was inside the cab, echoing under the dash. Each clink came with a flicker of dashboard light. Fuel gauge dipped a notch. Then another. The glove box rattled. Metal against metal. I opened it. The coin spun by itself in place, humming louder, engraving light into the plastic, circles tighter and tighter, until the number 13 burned faintly into the lid. The CB clicked back on even though the power knob sat dead. Breaker 19, a man said. Come. Patient. Familiar. Still got the coin? I didn't answer. That's the toll, he continued. You took the look. Now you owe the leave. Who are you? Another driver who tried to pay in stories. Doesn't work. Only thing they take clean is distance. Distance. Keep driving. Don't stop for light, for sound, for blood. Just make the miles. Until when? Until they forget your name. The coin stopped spinning. The hum died. And from somewhere behind me, maybe the sleeper, maybe the storm, a new sound replaced it. Breathing. That same slow, measured rhythm from the stall. I checked the mirror. The bunk curtain fluttered though the vents were off. Stay out, I whispered, eyes locked forward. The curtain went still. Then the passenger seat belt clicked into its buckle. The CB whispered again, lower now. You brought one with you. Happens sometimes. You can drop it, but you gotta stop to do it. Every nerve in my body screamed no stop. I kept my speed steady. Mile 201. 202. The desert started to pale with the first gray bleed of dawn. The breathing faded, replaced by another sound, plastic crinkling like a candy wrapper being folded slow. I glanced down. The soda machine's logo, 13, glowed faint on the radio display where the channel number should have been. My voice came through next, small and distant. Breaker 19, Red Jack eastbound, requesting permission to pay. Not from me, from the speaker. My own words, recorded, repeating. Breaker 19 requesting permission to pay. I killed the ignition mid-run. The rig coasted silent down a long slope. For 30 seconds the only sound was wind and my pulse trying to keep up. Then the CB spoke in a tone I'd never heard, bright, childish, too polite. Payment accepted. The truck jolted. Every light on the dash flared at once. For half a second the cab went weightless. The road vanished beneath me, no texture, no hum, just blank, white silence. Then everything slammed back. Tires screamed, dust geysered behind me, and I was parked again in the same rest stop lot. Rest stop 13. Rain gone. Sunlight bleeding over the ridge. The building's door shut tight, padlocked. No lights. No vending machines. No blue sedan. Just me. The CB, still unplugged, whispered one last time. You left it behind. I opened the glove box. Empty. No coin. No burn mark. Just clean plastic. I climbed out. The air smelled like soap and rain normal. For the first time I thought maybe it was really over. Until I looked down. The asphalt under my boots was wet, but not from rain. Wet from breath, rising faint, and even like something below was still exhaling. And in that moisture something glinted. A coin half embedded in the tar, edges still hot. I didn't touch it. I didn't even breathe near it. I just got in the rig, turned north, and drove till the gas needle leaned on empty. At every mile marker, the CB lit red but stayed silent, as if waiting for me to speak first. Now I keep my mirrors dirty, my change purse empty, and my routes long. Sometimes, on calm nights when I scan the channels, I hear coins dropping faintly in the static, clink, 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 followed by the same woman's voice, patient and kind. Exact change only. When I hear her, I turn the dial, whisper to the windshield, not tonight. And I drive until dawn decides I've paid enough.